Check 1 2 1 2.
Live across the universe.
Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's about that time, y'all.
you are now in the mix.
It's time to wake up, folks, with Kennedy Lucas and Cole Marks. Don't touch that button. You're locked in to Wake Up Live from K.L.P Studios.
Good morning, Atlanta. This is Wake Up with Kennedy Lucas and Cole Marks. I just want to say thank you to all the staff for keeping the show going while I was sick all week last week. Back in the studio for our latest news. The New York Liberty won't have a chance to defend their WNBA championship. The Phoenix Mercury eliminated the fifth-seeded Liberty on Friday to advance to the 2025 WNBA semifinals. After losing at home in the opener of their first-round series, the number 4 seed Mercury beat the Liberty in games 2 and 3 and now face the top-seeded Minnesota Lynx in game 1 of the semifinals on Sunday, ESPN, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Phoenix's Alyssa Thomas had one of her signature triple-doubles, her 9th of the season, in Friday's 79-73 victory. On the other side of the bracket, the number 2 seed Las Vegas Aces host the number 6 seed Indiana Fever in game 1 of their semifinal series on Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, ABC. Las Vegas and Indiana advanced on game-winning shots in the final 12 seconds in their winner-take-all games Thursday. Before the semifinals, which will feature 4 of the 5 MVP finalists open, we break down each matchup and predict which teams will reach the WNBA Finals. BPI, Minnesota has an 89.3% chance of advancing to the WNBA Finals, 72.5% chance of winning the WNBA title. Phoenix has a 10.7% chance to reach the Finals, 3.0% to win the championship. First round. The Lynx were the only one of the top 4 seeds to sweep their opening series, but they almost got pushed to a Game 3, too. After a 101-72 win in Game 1 at Minneapolis last Sunday, the Lynx edged the Golden State Valkyries 75-74 in Game 2 on Wednesday in San Jose, California. The Mercury fell 76-69 in overtime to New York in Game 1 at home last Sunday. Facing elimination in Game 2 on the road, they dominated the Liberty 86-60 on Wednesday. Then Friday, despite a combined 55 points from New York's Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, the Mercury won 79-73 thanks to What we're hearing about the Mercury this season started a new era for the Mercury after Diana Taurasi retired and Brittany Griner departed in free agency. Both were staples of Phoenix's last championship. Thomas and fellow forward Sabally were the 2 major offseason acquisitions. Thomas, an MVP candidate, has been a top defensive player for many years, even before developing her prowess for triple-doubles. And the Mercury's defense propelled them through the first round. The Liberty averaged 84.4 points during the regular season, but that dropped to 69.7 in 3 postseason games against the Mercury. The Liberty might have taken too many three-pointers when they were so cold behind the arc Friday, 7 of 32, 21.9%, but that was a pattern the entire series. The Mercury defense deserves credit for forcing the Liberty to look uncomfortable on offense in the last 2 games of the series. But that will be a bigger challenge against the Lynx. How they match up. The Lynx won the regular season series, but all 4 games were played before the All-Star break. The Mercury were not at full strength in any of those games because of injuries. Kalia Copper missed all 4 matchups, while Thomas and Sabally each missed 2. Dewana Bonner, the Mercury's top reserve and 4th leading scorer, played only twice against the Lynx because she was still with the Indiana Fever during the first 2 meetings. Minnesota star Nafisa Collier missed the first game against the Mercury, but played in the other 3. The Lynx and Mercury are the top 2 teams left in the playoffs and made three-pointers per game during the regular season. Minnesota averaged 9.6 per game, and Phoenix 9.4. The Lynx had a net rating of plus 12.3 to the Mercury's plus 3.4. But other than Atlanta, plus 10, no team was close to the Lynx in that category. Minnesota didn't have to prepare for a healthy Phoenix roster, which we're seeing now. The Lynx's approach to that will be one of the most interesting insights from Game 1. Minnesota did suffer an injury in the series against Golden State, Reserve guard Dejanay Carrington, a midseason pickup who started every game of the semifinals last year with Connecticut, will miss at least game 1 of this series after being ruled out with a left foot injury. In Carrington's absence, Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve could look to utilize bigger lineups to match up with Phoenix's size. What will most impact the series? Spells on offense. Minnesota's defense has been so reliable this season that it's hard to see it breaking down much. The Lynx also execute well late in games and can rally when necessary. All of those things make it difficult to beat them in a series. Phoenix will advance if Thomas and Sabally score and rebound at a high level. At their best, they are the 2 Mercury players most capable of breaking down the Lynx's elite defense, and they can help Phoenix on the boards. If they both play like superstars and the Mercury can win one of the first 2 games on the road, the heat will be on the Lynx in Phoenix. First round. After dropping Game 1 in Atlanta, Indiana routed the Dream at home to force Game 3. Despite trailing for almost 30 minutes, the Fever pulled out a win in a decisive Game 3. Las Vegas won handily in its first game at home, then dropped a close Game 2 when the Storm outscored the Aces 25-14 in the fourth quarter. On Thursday, the Aces won a back-and-forth fourth quarter to hold off Seattle to win their 3-game series. What we're hearing about the Aces, Becky Hammon said she has some concern about how well the Storm shut down the Aces' 3-point shooting in Las Vegas' 74-73 Game 3 victory Thursday. The Aces were 3 of 12 beyond the arc. That put even more pressure on center A'ja Wilson. That said, one of the biggest plays of the game came from Young with the putback of Wilson's miss that proved to be the winning basket. The experience that the Aces get from their big 3 of Wilson, Young, and Chelsea Gray was a major factor in pulling out their first-round series and could be pivotal for their chance to advance to the WNBA Finals again. Hammond said the Aces didn't guard the entirety of the court in Game 2 at Seattle, which cost them. They did that better in winning Game 3, but it still came down to the wire. Even though it was nerve-wracking for the Aces, their first-round series going the distance and being tested might have been the best thing that could have happened before facing Indiana in the semifinals. What we're hearing about the Fever. Even during the regular season, as player after player went down because of injury, the Fever consistently maintained that they had big goals and that they could make some noise in the playoffs. Mission accomplished. The outside world might have counted them out against the Dream. Go back and look at ESPN's first-round picks. Next on the show this morning, we talk Apple. All 4 iPhone 17 models are now on sale, and I'm sure that many people have already jumped on the chance to grab the best iPhone for their particular needs. But I'm also guessing that many people are also wondering whether it's time to upgrade to an iPhone 17, and that's a question I can help with. Sometimes upgrading or not is an easy call. Your phone is broken or hopelessly outdated, or you just want the latest hardware whenever it comes out. But if you're like me, you try and hold on to your phone as long as possible, making sure you get every last bit of use out of it. For folks like us, upgrading is a question of whether a new device truly offers a big leap forward, or if we're better off trying to hold on for at least one more year. With that in mind, I've gone through the past 4 years of iPhone models to list what kind of improvements you can expect should you jump to one of the new iPhones. If you've still got a 2020 vintage iPhone 12, take it from me as a longtime iPhone 12 owner, you're better off upgrading. We're focusing on hardware changes here since all the older iPhones on this list can upgrade to iOS 26 and enjoy most, though not all, of the new features that software update brings to the table. What's new with the iPhone 17? Apple made a surprising number of year-over-year changes, as you can see in our iPhone 17 versus iPhone 16 comparison. For starters, the screen size on the base iPhone 17 model is larger, increasing to 6.3 inches. The standard iPhone finally enjoys a 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate for smoother scrolling. Apple also includes double the storage now, 256 gigabytes compared to 128 gigabytes on the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus. This year's phones are more durable than last year thanks to an upgrade to Ceramic Shield 2, which is 3 times more scratch resistant than the material on the iPhone 16. No matter which iPhone 17 model you upgrade to, you'll get better cameras, as Apple now uses a 48-megapixel sensor, the ultra-wide camera in its base model, while both iPhone 17 Pro models offer a 48p telephoto lens. A new A19 chipset in the iPhone 17 boosts performance, though not so much that the new phone blows away its predecessor.
At various points during the fantasy football season, injuries, bye weeks, and breaking news can cause you to need reinforcements for your fantasy lineup. Every Friday throughout the 2025 NFL season, Matt Bowen will offer up some late-week pickup options to help fill those holes, with an emphasis on deeper leagues. Because of that, this column will focus mostly on players rostered in fewer than 50% of ESPN leagues. With occasional exceptions, advertising heading into Week 3, I see deeper league targets at the wide receiver position who are flashing on the tape and producing numbers. And we'll start there. Plus, there's a rookie tight end getting consistent volume in the pass game and a defense that is making plays, with a really positive matchup this week. Wide receivers Troy Franklin, Denver Broncos, 38.7% rostered, at Chargers, with 15 targets over his first 2 games, and in an offensive system that caters to his skill set. Franklin fits here as a deeper league WR3 for this week against the Chargers. Last week in the loss to the Colts, Franklin caught 8 of 9 targets for 89 yards and a score, 24.0 points. He scored on a schemed boot concept in the low red zone, and the Broncos will set him up on catch-and-run targets off RPO reads. Expect Franklin to see more high-percentage throws, screens, slants, crossers Sunday in Los Angeles. Elik Iomenor, Tennessee Titans, 17.0% rostered, versus Colts, has seen at least 6 targets in each of his first 2 pro games, and the I really like how he is being deployed in the Titans' pass game. At 6'2", with the long speed to separate on fade routes, Iomenor can win as an isolation target for quarterback Cam Ward. Plus, he has the ball skills and play strength to work the middle of the field. Iomenor had 15.6 points in the Week 2 loss to the Rams, and he is flashing the traits of an emerging player on tape. Hunter Renfrow, Carolina Panthers, 5.0% rostered, versus Falcons. In a Panthers offense that has been forced to throw with volume, Renfrow has PPR upside this week versus the Falcons, through 2 games. Panthers quarterback Bryce Young has already attempted 90 passes. That's a big number. And Renfrow benefited as the primary slot option for Young in the Week 2 loss to the Cardinals, catching 7 of 9 targets for 48 yards and 2 scores, 23.8 points. Renfrow also reminded us he can still separate from man coverage on his touchdown grabs in the low red zone. Let's play Renfrow this week in deeper formats. Bashal Tutin, Jacksonville Jaguars, 46.7% rostered, versus Texans. Tutin stepped into the number 2 role behind Travis Etienne Jr. in Week 2 loss to the Bengals, following the trade of Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. And the rookie responded with 74 total yards and a touchdown on 10 touches, 15.4 points. With his explosive movement ability and playmaking upside, Tutin can give you viable fantasy numbers on 8 to 10 touches per game. And he gets a Houston defense on Sunday that just gave up 136 yards rushing to the Buccaneers running backs in Week 2. Tyler Algier, Atlanta Falcons, 36.8% rostered, at Panthers. In a deeper format, you're chasing the volume with Algier this week versus a Panthers defense allowing 5.2 YPC, 27th in the league. Algier has 26 carries in the first 2 games, including 3 from inside the 5-yard line. And he scored the only touchdown of the game in the Sunday night victory over the Vikings. Plus, we know he can play the role of a closer late in the game due to his downhill running style, as he had 9 carries in the 4th quarter versus the Vikings. Look for Algier to see more touches if the Falcons can get up on the Panthers in the second half. Quarterbacks Jake Browning, Cincinnati Bengals, 9.6% rostered, at Vikings. In relief of Joe Burrow last week, Browning had 74 points, throwing for 241 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding a 1-yard rushing score. However, he also threw 3 picks. With Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Browning does have premier options in the route tree. And in 2023, when Browning started 6 games for an injured Burrow, he averaged 19.1 PPG. It might be a roller coaster with Browning in the lineup, but he does have some upside against the Vikings in a pass-heavy Bengals system. Michael Penix Jr., Falcons, 28.9% rostered, at Panthers. The Falcons leaned on the run game in the Week 2 win over the Vikings, which limited Penix to only 21 pass attempts. And I do think we could see a similar script versus Carolina this Sunday if the Falcons get out to an early lead. However, if you need to pick up a starting quarterback this week, the Falcons will have matchup advantages in the pass game. You can look for Penix to take some shots down the field early to boost his scoring totals. Harold Fannin Jr., Cleveland Browns, 35.6% rostered, versus Packers. Fannin has seen consistent usage in the Browns offense to start the season, running 30 routes in both games played, and the target volume is there too. Fannin, who is averaging 11.7 PPG, has caught 12 of 14 targets from quarterback Joe Flacco, producing 111 yards receiving. A move tight end with coverage awareness and the ability to create after the catch. Fannin fits as a deeper league option on Sunday. Atlanta Falcons, 36.4% rostered, at Panthers. I'd run with the Falcons defense this week versus the Panthers. In the Week 2 win over the Vikings, the Falcons scored a league-best 21.0 fantasy points. Registering 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles, this unit dictated the flow of the game versus J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota offense. While managers shouldn't expect another 20-point game Sunday, Bryce Young has already thrown 3 picks and been sacked 4 times. There are plays to be made here by the Falcons defense. On an earnings call this summer, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg made an ambitious claim about the future of smart glasses, saying he believes that someday people who don't wear AI-enabled smart spectacles, ideally his, will find themselves at a pretty significant cognitive disadvantage compared to their smart glasses-clad kin. Meta's most recent attempt to demonstrate the humanity-enhancing capabilities of its face computing platform didn't do a very good job of bolstering that argument. In a live keynote address at the company's Connect Developer Conference on Wednesday, Zuckerberg tossed to a product demo of the new smart glasses he had just announced. That demo immediately went awry. When a chef was brought on stage to ask the Meta Glasses voice assistant to walk him through a recipe, he spoke the "Hey Meta" wake word, and every pair of Meta glasses in the room, hundreds, since the glasses had just been distributed to the crowd of attendees, sprang to life and started chattering. In an Instagram reel posted after the event, Meta CTO Andrew Bosworth, whose own bid on stage had run into technical problems, said the hiccup happened because so many instances of Meta's AI running in the same place meant they had inadvertently DDoS'd themselves. But a video call demo failed too, and the demos that did work were filled with lags and interruptions. This isn't meant to just be a dunk at the Kludgy Connect keynote. We love a live demo, truly, but the weirdness, the timid exchanges, the repeated commands, and the wooden conversations inadvertently reflect just how graceless this technology can be when used in the real world. The main problem for me is the raw amount of times where you do engage with an AI assistant and ask it to do something, and it doesn't actually understand, says Leo Gebbe, a director and analyst at CCS Insights. The failure risk just is high, and the gap is still pretty big between what's being shown and what we're actually going to get. Clearly, we are a long way from Zuckerberg's vision of smart glasses being the computing platform that elevates humanity to some higher thinking, higher functioning state. Sure, wearing internet-connected hardware on your face can make it easier and faster to access information. And that may help you become, or at least appear to become, smarter or more capable. But as the clumsiness of the Connect demo very publicly demonstrated, the act of simply wearing a chatbot and a screen on your face might cancel out any cognitive advantage. Smart glasses put the wearer at a significant social disadvantage. Meta spectacles are the best smart glasses you're going to be able to buy right now. They're much more fashionable than earlier attempts, like the famously dorky Google Glass, and Meta's partnership with Ray-Ban and Oakley owner Essilor Luxottica has done well for its product visuals. The new Gen 2 Ray-Ban Meta models look very much like normal glasses, but once you start adding more of those cognition-enhancing capabilities, you start packing on the pounds. Look at the sheer heft of the Meta Ray-Ban displays. You can watch Instagram reels on them, but they're big, chunky, and dorky looking. Maybe you'll be able to pull off that look. Old man from Up, but make it fashion. Even then, the process of using them in the wild is bound to be uncanny. I tried out the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses at MetaConnect. The screen was definitely visible to me, though it was slightly blurry and took a moment to focus on. Trying to read something or pick out an icon meant staring down and to the right at the lens, looking all but downright cross-eyed to anyone who might be on the other side of me. The design also puts diversions directly into your field of vision. I cannot see how, for me as a wearer, it would not be invasive if I was speaking to someone one-on-one and suddenly I get a notification pop-up saying someone's messaged me on WhatsApp, K.L.P says. That is so distracting. Tanner Higgin, a senior researcher at the education nonprofit West Ed, describes watching people use technology like smart glasses and heads-up displays and says it quickly becomes clear when someone using them is focused on the interface rather than their surroundings. There is a striking physical change that happens when I watch someone using them, Higgins says. Their attention shifts to the display. There's a kind of vacancy, a 1,000-yard stare, that then gets reinforced by gestures as they move their thumb or turn the volume knob. There's this second reality that seems to be, for some people, more significant to serve in any given moment than their immediate physical reality. That's bound to be off-putting when you're talking to someone on the street, akin to trying to have a conversation with someone who's distracted by their phone screen the whole time. I guess it's hard to be cognitively enhanced to the max when you can't pay attention to what the person in front of you is saying. Social distortion, K.L.P, who wears glasses regularly, says that theoretically he should be the target audience for Meta's smart glasses. I could put these on and wear them all day long, but I absolutely do not, he says. And it's because I just worry about the social contract and the kind of weird behavior that's always potentially there. Not that the potential for cringe will stop anyone from buying them. Meta has sold more than 2 million pairs of its Ray-Ban glasses. The company is also bound to focus on those weird angles of its user experience research. Smoothing out the gestures, moving around the displays, and offering features that could sense a one-on-one conversation and mute notifications or automatically turn off the screen all seem like natural ways to make the devices feel more natural. Like all tech, these things will get better and become easier to incorporate into your daily routine. Features on the glasses already greatly justify their existence. Live captioning of spoken conversations with the text displayed on the tiny screen is poised to be a helpful tool for everyone, from deaf and hard-of-hearing people to clumsy tourists asking for directions. Do these benefits outweigh the concerns that people have? K.L.P says. I think pretty quickly they will. We are already down the looking glass at this point. Still, the issue with Zuckerberg framing the pitch for smart glasses as a way to boost one's brain function is that it implies you can use technology to win, to be the better person in any situation. That's a rather cynical approach to the nature of human interaction.
Check, 1 2 1 2. Live across the universe.
Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's about that time, y'all.
you are now in the mix.
It's time to wake up, folks, with Kennedy Lucas and Cole Marks. Don't touch that button. You're locked in to Wake Up Live from K.L.P Studios.